Welcome to Surfside Stories. Today, here at the 843 studio, I am very honored to have the icon of sound men for the beach music industry. I mean, he's been with several groups over the years. We all know who you are now. Steve Davis, by the way, right here. Steve, glad to have you here, brother.
Glad to be here, Wayne.
And glad to have the audience here, Emily, too, with us.
Yeah.
But tell us, how did you get into music? When did you start doing this? Were you in music before you went into sound? Start at day one, brother.
I was never a musician. My family are all musicians, and yeah, and they're people that certainly the beach music market knows. Of course, my dad was started out playing in church, but he played guitar and sang, and then played bass later on, and became one of the top bass players in the North Carolina area over there, especially Eastern North Carolina, and did all the recording sessions and stuff that they did around Raleigh back in the day. They called him in as kind of a session player. But he taught my uncle, Gerald Davis, how to play. Gerald was a few years younger than him, so he came up.
Another icon.
Yeah. He came up with music, his whole life the same way and really fell into it and just took it and ran with it. And of course, my brother, Tony, the drummer, started playing when he was 6 years old. He got his first real drum set when he was 6 years old and played.
Really?
And yeah, and he played with my dad's groups a lot. He played with Gerald a lot when he was 12. He went out to California, played with Gerald's band, and ended up staying out here about 3 weeks playing with his band.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In Riverside.
I didn't realize Tony had that history.
Yeah, right.
We got to get him in here one of these days.
Absolutely.
But today, Dave's family's got a lot of musical talent.
Yeah, and that's
a lot of different ways.
That's how it started with me. I would listen, and I'd pick up an instrument here and there and play a little bit, and everybody else in the family was so far advanced ahead of me that you feel like, well, I'm just fumbling around and they're playing, So I kind of gave up on that early on. I did some.
You tried a couple instruments?
And I tried a few instruments and just played around a little bit.
What did you try?
Mostly bass. The first instrument I had was a cornet, which is like a trumpet, and I played that a little. And then in a high school band, I did percussion because I kind of grown up around that. Did and the marching band, and then they made me drum major. I'm like,
oh yeah, wow! And, I can see you as a drum major.
Yeah, well,
I can see that.
Yeah, the hair's about the same as it was then, just a little. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We'd travel. We'd go to went to New Orleans, marched in Endymion Parade. Did things like
people watching this are going to know that you used to be a drum major.
Oh,
we just announced something.
There's a few I've talked with a few that were drum majors, and they said I was a drum major too.
Oh,
but that was that was a lot of fun in those days. But I still never picked up an instrument. When I got out of high school, I kind of fumbled around with a few jobs here and there, just local jobs and things. But
where did you go to high school?
Graduated from Smithfield Selma,
in
Johnston County, North Carolina. And of course, I went to the Broughton High School in Raleigh a year and a half. We moved back and forth. My dad was in the oil industry then, so we moved back and forth from Selma to Raleigh. The oil terminals were in Selma, so we lived in that area quite a bit. And the bands around, Tony was playing with a lot of different bands at that time, right out of high school, and he and Gerald and Craig Woolard. And Glenn Baker, you probably don't know, guitar player, had a group called Pyramid. And I went to probably 90% of their shows. And just to hang out.
Oh, okay. I've heard of Glenn, but did not know.
Yeah, Glenn's from Zebulon, North Carolina. Really good guitar player. But he gave up music altogether for a career, a real job.
Real job?
Real job. And so I was with them a lot, traveled with them a lot, and was around it all the time. And Gerald would always come off stage. How does it sound? What do I need? Is the bass too loud? Is this that? And I'd say, well, the guitar solo wasn't loud enough on this. Keyboards could be up on that. But I'd never run sound. And then that Pyramid was a really good four-piece band.
About what age were you at that time? About what year was it?
Probably, this was in the mid 70s.
Okay. Gotcha.
Mid 70s. And then Gerald and Craig, well, the Embers had, their mix up when Big John and all them guys left, and they were looking for some members, and they came to see Pyramid, and they hired Gerald and Craig away from Pyramid, which left Tony and one other guy, and he rather than keep that band together, he formed some different bands and things, and then he and I put together a version of the Occasions in the late '70s. Yeah, it was Paul Scoggins that owned the name and was wanting to do something with it.
Yeah.
So Tony had a group called Cruise, which was Tony, Timmy Lofton, Derwin Martin, and Ed Mann.
Good group.
And really good group.
Good group.
And Derwin didn't want to go out on the road. He had enough of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but he'd had enough of that. He didn't want to do it. So we joined up with Paul Craver and the guys. He had a Cannonball band at the time.
I remember that.
You keep telling me yes, So we kind of combined the two bands. We took from that band. We took Paul Craver, Dwight Nichols, Rick Brogdon. Let's see. Yeah.
Good group.
That was all. Yeah. And so
a lot of talent.
it was a good band. Yeah. Paul Craver was with us for a long time. And we played the same circuit all the other bands did. We were under Ember's management.
Okay.
Bobby and his brother were booking the band, and we after about a year or two of that, we weren't real crazy about the management portion of it, so we took a house man job up at the Roadway Inn in Asheville, and changed the name to the Caves, which I'm sure you remember the band the Caves.
Oh yes.
And I did that. I was up there about a year and a half or so, and I just didn't like living in Asheville, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I was ready. I felt like I was kind of.
You weren't a mountain man.
Not a mountain guy. I felt like I was closed in. It was 5 hours to home to anybody that I need. So I left at that point and honestly decided to get out of the music business. I was going to look for something else to do.
Yeah.
And I was driving a truck, tractor trailer, and I'd been doing that about 2 months, and Gerald he went and picked me up somewhere and took me to Ember's job. Bobby and Jackie came up. We want you to run sound for us. And I just got out of that. I don't really want to do that anymore. I don't want to move any equipment. He said, you don't have to move any equipment. Just ride with us to the job, and we'll do that. And that was in 1980. And Johnny Barker just started with the band, and they were doing really good.
Okay.
So that's when I went with the Embers. Started with them in 1980, and stayed with them off and on, mostly on for like 26, 27 years.
Wow.
And they had a lot of changes, going through a lot of things, and Gerald and I both left at the same time and formed Legends of Beach.
I remember that.
Legends of Beach was a really good band. It's probably, honestly, the best band I've ever worked with, talent-wise.
Really? Now, who all was in that?
Gerald, Johnny Barker, Jackie Gore, Tony on drums, Jeff Rhymes on guitar, Mark Black on sax, and then we had Rusty Smith with a full horn section that he wrote charts for. So, absolutely top musician.
That is. That's a.
It was.
Again, that's an all-star band. But
it was, and it worked out really great. Unfortunately, people weren't willing to pay the price you have to have for that kind of talent. Because to them it was an unknown group. Legends of Beach, never heard of. Who is it? And you tell them who it is. Oh, I know those guys.
Yeah.
But they weren't willing to pay the price for it for the most part. But it was funny because our first show we'd been rehearsing, getting things together, recording an album. Remember the album we did, CD, and we said, well, let's do our first show in Raleigh. So we're going to do it at TJ's, and we talked to Ray, and gave him a price. Said, no, I can't pay that much. I can't pay that much. I said, okay. I said, I tell you what, we'll do it for the door. He said, okay, I'd like to do that. I said, but you're going to charge $20 a head at the door. He said, oh, no, man, ain't nobody going to pay that. Nobody's going to pay that money. I said, that's the deal. So we gave him a Saturday night, charged $20 a head at the door, and it sold out so fast that we had to add a Sunday.
Really?
Added a Sunday.
Surprised him, didn't you?
Yeah. And
so how were the people finding out that you had all that talent together in that one new band?
It was mostly just word of mouth.
Yeah.
Really? Because we didn't we didn't take out any ads. We didn't put any ads in any magazines, nothing. And, you know,
no marketing scheme, just
no
play
marketing
the
scheme.
music.
We just played. Well, one thing we did do, we did the album, and we did get a little airplay on that.
Yeah.
So, Gerald and Johnny Barker did an incredible job on that.
You still got a copy of that album?
I got one somewhere.
Do you? I figured you would.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we go from there? How long did this last?
Legends of Beach was probably about 3-4 years, something like that. And after that, you know, Mark Black has a lot of other things going on, and it got to the point where, you know, he's been with East Coast Party Band a long time.
Yes.
He was with them then, and there was a lot of shows that he couldn't make because he felt committed to East Coast Party Band.
Yeah.
So people started saying, "Well, is Mark going to be there?" and things like that. You know, when we booked
Yeah.
jobs, and that kind of hurt us reputation wise with some of the people that hired us. But you know, we brought in some other people. You know, Jackie was always there. We brought in Gary Lauder sang with us some. We brought in Terry Gore. Yeah, and she sang with us quite a bit, and that worked out great. I mean, her and Jackie on stage together. Yeah. They did some great duets together, and I would like for it to have gone farther and longer, because it was so much talent there. But as it didn't work out, you know, everybody kind of went separate ways. And,
well, the name was correct, Legends.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think a lot of people thought it was ego or whatever, but the original plan was to have a group that was pretty much legends of this area, and then bring in, if we wanted to, we used Danny Woods. Danny Woods came and sang with us a few shows, but we bring in people like that, and Angel Rissoff did several shows with us. So that you know, added some variety to it, and that was the original plan, to do the use the name Legends of Beach, and then just bring in people like we consider to be stars to come in and perform, because we had,
at this point,
had the best backup band you could have.
At this point, how long had you actually been doing sound for different groups at this point now?
I started doing sound about 77. First band I ever worked with was my dad's band. It was a country band called Ambush.
Okay.
And a little tiny soundboard and tiny speakers, and we just set up, and they were really good, what they call a show country band, because they did a lot of the real top 40 country, not a whole lot of the outlaw stuff, just a little bit.
Okay.
And you know, they dressed fancy and stuff like that. They weren't a super great cowboy band. These were more polished band, which was they had a good audience. You know, it was a little older than the crowd that Super Grid drew. Yeah. But it was a good audience. And I was with them until we put the occasions together. Okay. I was with them. That's the reason when, you know, Tony and I put it together, I would be the sound man with it. So,
been doing it
since about 77.
Now, let's go back. You went
taking time out.
When did you join the Embers then?
I joined the Embers in 1980.
Okay. And you were with them for, again, about 26
years, somewhere in there.
I went from there to the Legends.
There to Legends. And I did some other things. I had some, you know, I always messed with cars. I had a few car lots and stuff like that. But,
you know, that was what I did for a living for 46 years.
Oh, was it?
How long ago those shows?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, most people don't know that.
I had 2 partners, and we had 5 dealerships.
Oh, really?
Independent dealerships, yeah. Last one I had was Steve Davis Auto Sales down in Pikeville. It was right over next to Charles V. Aycock High School. I had 2.5 acre paved lot, 6-car showroom, all that stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
But, yeah, but it was just too small a town for that size of lot.
Yeah, that's a big. I understand.
That's the unfortunate part of it. I mean, I had like 55 or 60 cars out there, and 20 customers at the most in a month, you know. Yeah. So it don't work out too well. I was there 5 years. I had that, and during that time, I didn't travel with any bands, but me and Tony and Spook put together the American Music Jubilee. And
tell me about that.
Well, that came about. We spent a lot of time down here at the beach when I worked with crews with those guys at the Galleon for a full summer. They were there longer, but I was only there a full summer. That was with Tony and Spook and Terry Harper and Jody Bundy and Terry Gore.
Well, the names I recognize there too.
Wayne Rixby played trumpet with us, and Rocky Giroux played the sax. And I mean, we had a good band, but we were a house band at the what is now the Hodos.
Yeah.
They used to be the beach club over there.
Yeah.
What happened? They were remodeling everything, and we were playing in the what they called the disco room back then. You know, the party room, which is now the Gathering.
Okay, gotcha.
Back then it was the party room. We played in there, and they built the other one. You know, the one that's Hodos now, and it had a restaurant upstairs, and it was open ceiling. And they built all that. While they were building that, we played in the other room.
Okay.
Until they got it finished. When they got it finished, we moved into that room. It was, I guess, was OD Beach Club or something. I don't know.
Okay. Now, is this where had a record gig there?
Yeah, they were there. They were there all summer anyway.
Okay.
And I worked with them there, but they Harold's notorious for changing things around.
Really?
He had hired them. I mean, you wouldn't know. I know. But he hired them and said they were going to be there year round, and then they had turned down jobs because people come in and said, well, I want to book y'all for this, and no, we're here. You know, we promised them we'd stay here. And then the winter came, and they said, I'm not going to use a band this winter. And so that
was a bottom line there.
Yeah, they all kind of scrambled, you know. But while we were down here, we went to a lot of those shows. We had friends that played in a lot of the Calvin Gilmore shows and Alabama Theater, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And so we thought, you know, this is a destination area, and people will come down here, but you know, right up there where we're at, on Interstate 95, there's just as much traffic goes by there every day as there is that comes down here in the summer. So we decided to try to do a theater up there, same type country music theater on a little smaller scale.
Okay, where was this?
At Smithfield, Selma area. And we wanted to put it out by the pottery, you know, the Carolina pottery out there. A friend of ours had built that. And he wanted to put it out there too, but they didn't really have much space left for it at the time. Land-wise, and he helped us market it and try to get people involved and stuff. We were trying to get investors to just build a new one from the ground up.
Yeah.
And boy, that was a long, drawn-out thing trying to get that. We were never able to get quite enough funding for it. Because, you know, even at that time, we were looking at $5 or $6 million.
Yeah.
So it just didn't happen that way. So we ended up going into what used to be a movie theater, the Rudy Theater in downtown Selma. And went in there with a rent-to-own option. And Spook is still there. He stayed there. He's still there with the show. That's what he does, American Music Jubilee. So
somebody out there you just the last few days is from Selma.
Oh, really?
I can't remember which one it was.
No.
There's so many of them. But
there's a few around there.
Sound like there were a lot of musicians around that area.
There are. Or there have been, anyway.
Oh, okay.
It's not as many as there used to be.
Okay, what's the next step now?
Next,
interesting,
everybody.
It's been interesting, but
once we got that, I did that while I had my car lot there. I'd go over there and work at night and everything, and at that point, I was just helping people. You know, people would call me. They found out I wasn't working with a band. Hey, can you help me? I did a lot of work with all the bands actually. Entertainers, and I did quite a bit with them. So.
Did you help someone like set up their sound system? Or
yeah, I did.
Recommendations?
I did that. Well, I've always done that some, and people have had a tendency to look at what I'm using and say, that sounds good, I'm going to go buy that. And that's been the case. And unfortunately, it doesn't always sound the same. But
it may be the difference in who's on the board, or these days who's on the
iPad.
iPad, yeah.
Yeah, that could have something to do with it.
Everybody doesn't have the same ear, I can tell you that. So.
Well, that's what, growing up around music and hearing it all my life, and just, something just don't sound right. Figured out a way to try to make it sound right.
Now, did you have somebody else between them and the time you joined North Tower?
Not on a regular basis. I was helping a lot of bands, but I pretty much went with North Tower and made a commitment to them.
Yeah.
And was doing that for quite a while. They didn't play that often, but I was still able to do some car business during the day, buy and sell cars, things like that. So I did that, and it worked out. It worked out pretty good. I was able to juggle the two pretty well because I don't travel that far.
Okay.
And they do about 90, 95 shows a year generally. Up until COVID, we were the year 2020. The band was really increasing, and in popularity, and we had 120 shows booked for that year, and ended up doing 12 of them.
Okay.
Because and all the bands went through that. It was a bad situation.
Well, I understand that picked up a pretty good audience right now.
They do have a good following. I'm very proud of them.
Very much so.
They're good guys.
Some of the original guys here I've met recently that are just super.
Gary's been coming back around, and I think eventually we'll end up back here again and may even be a part of it. I'd like to see that.
Yeah. Now, good. Yeah, Gary and we have conversations about it every week.
Good.
It's okay. You wouldn't anybody between? Yeah. Oh, he's got his little household.
Oh, good. Yeah. No, between North Tower and Band of Oz, there was not. I was working a day job, in the car business, buying cars for some car lots, and I finally, Emily had retired. She'd been retired in a couple of years, and I said, "Well, it's time for me to retire." Of course, Keith Houston had been coming to me, "Have you retired yet? Have you retired yet?" And I ran into him at a country club one day. He said, "Have you retired yet?" I said, "Yeah, I finally retired." He said, "Good, we meet you." I said, "Hey, Keith, your idea of retirement and mine might be two things. I've seen your schedule, So, and it's worked out great.
Well, it would have been hard to do the job with the cars, and back probably impossible.
Yeah, it'd be impossible to do it with Band of Oz, because there's just so much travel and so many days that even if you're not traveling far, we have a lot of jobs in the middle of the day and early in the day and stuff that. It's nothing for us to play at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon.
You've been through the transition from the old days and the big heavy equipment to some of the new stuff, and
absolutely.
Now, I was looking at your speaker sets last night and how they set up. And I love the way you got them set up. It's a lot of people don't realize the difference in how a bass sound goes out and how a treble sound goes out, and they don't. You did. God, you got it set up perfect.
Oh, thank you.
You're really good.
Thank you.
But tell me about the advancement in equipment over this time.
Well, like I said, when I started with my father's band, we had a little small mixer and stuff, and it kind of blossomed, and it keeps going, and you can spend as much money as you want to spend on it, or as much as you're able to spend on it. Back in those days, we weren't able to spend much on it, even with the occasions and decays, and there we had we grab equipment where we could, I can get this piece, you get that piece, we buy what we were able to and just make it work, and that there's an art to that. Good sound is not an accident. No, it don't happen by itself. You don't just throw something up there and it just sounds good. It all requires work, and back in those days, I had to take whatever equipment I could get and get the best out of it. Yeah, and I always felt like I was pretty good at doing that.
Is this iPad easier to use?
The iPad is no, it's not easier.
And how long has this been? You've been doing
I've been doing that 10 years with the iPad.
Okay.
And I started with North Tower. I was always mixed with the console. Everybody die-hard analog. That's all I'm gonna do. That's Eddie Kogel's that way. There's a lot of people that way, and I work with a lot of people over the years that wouldn't even consider using an iPad, and whatever excuse Eddie's was, his fingers were too fat. So that's what he said.
But it appears to me that you got a lot more versatility.
You do.
You can. You can't move that big board around.
Right.
You can't take that iPad.
That's the key right there, being able to take that iPad to any point in the room and move and go. With the board, you're sitting right here. You want to walk over there and see what it sounds like, and you would do if you trust that nobody's going to go to your board and change anything. Yeah. So with an iPad, you have that option to take it with you, and it's a lot. It's the convenience of it outweighs the comfort of having that console in front of you. Okay. And that's the comfort.
Something I saw notice this weekend that made me think, having all these different bands come on stage with the same equipment, you've got to, how hard is it to match? Because this bass player don't play like this bass player. This drummer don't play like this drummer.
Well, it's not only that. Every band now has their own unique setup, and they're not comfortable if it's not like their unique setup. Luckily, that's one thing about the digital boards that makes it a whole lot more usable. What I did with these bands this weekend, and we had 2 bands on Friday, one Saturday afternoon, and then Saturday night us with all those guests in that has specific things that they want.
All the guests are in. That's got to be a challenge.
It is.
I know you have a sound check afternoon because Tim Clark kept calling me.
Yeah. We had a sound check with most of them and got tried to get everything that they needed, and it worked out really good.
You sound great.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, that meant so. Probably it's the best of the. I've been there since the 50th. I've been coming to these.
Right.
This is the best one yet.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. But with the other bands, what I did was I would take our regular setup and I would come in, let them come in and ask them what they need and make the changes that they need. One of the bands used all in ears, one of the other band used all live wedges and everything. So they were totally different and they were back to back.
Yeah.
So I had to be prepared to push a button and change from one band to the other.
Are you able on the iPad to preset?
Yeah.
Like you can set this brand of preset and this set of presets?
Yeah. I use
that'll help.
I use a rack mount console, which is just one rack space. Everything from that console is in that one rack space.
Okay.
I control it with a laptop. So I'll go in and get everything like they want it and save that setting with their name on it.
Oh, okay.
And just save it. And then we do our sound check, get everything adjusted like they want it. Then I save it again. So that way I can push a button and go from them to us.
Okay.
There are a few changes when you're doing,
How long did it take to learn all this?
I'm still learning.
Okay.
I'm not claiming. I don't claim to know it all now. I can tell you that. But I do enough. I can do enough to get the show done. Right now, and it's. I'm sure there are simpler ways for a lot of it, easier ways, and people that have a better way. I don't know, but I just have to do what I know how to do.
I got to tell you something. Friday night, I think it was. I walked up to this young lady that you have as your best friend here, and I told her, said, every guy should be lucky enough to have someone as dedicated as you are. Right. I mean, a lot of people, I just say a lot of people admire that. They really do. They love to see the dedication you have, both to what you do and her dedication to the sport.
Right.
And I think she got announced the other night as some kind of social manager.
Another
band of odds. That was a new one. I hadn't heard that one.
I hadn't heard it either, but I think Chad came up with that.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing when Keith told me that they needed me and wanted to do, and I looked at her and I know, she had retired. She worked with BB&T for 46 years and retired. And I looked at her. I said, "Is that something you want to do?" And she said, "Well, yeah, that's what retired people do. They travel." I said, "I'm going to remind you of that." Because I know what the travel's like. I did it so many years with the Embers. I know, it's 2 or 3 shows a day a lot of times. See, we'll leave. We do the festival up here, the ones with the Commodores.
Yeah.
We're first band because we always have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I don't get to stay and hear any other bands. And I kind of hate it because I think Brent Carter still sing with the Commodores. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I'll definitely already got my tent reserved for that one.
Yeah. Brent Carter was lead singer with Tower Power for years.
Oh, no, I didn't know that was the same one.
Yeah. Brent Carter was he's a good guy. And he's hung out down here a lot now. He's sat in with Breeze Band and stuff with Dink and all that Tough and all them. He loves them guys.
It surprised me that night down in Charleston. Went down to see Tower of Power.
Right.
Here y'all come walking in, sitting right there,
right behind you. Yeah.
And I heard later said, they're big Tower of Power fans.
Absolutely. It was funny because we hadn't planned to go to that show because I thought we had a show booked, and then Keith told me he was going. I said, "You're going to that show?" And it was sold out. So I texted Jerry Cortez, the guitar player with Tower of Power, and we're pretty good friends. I texted him. I said, "Man, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go see you in Charleston because it's sold out, and but we'll catch you the next time." He immediately messaged me back and said, "I put you and Emily on the band guest list." so we
that's where it helps.
Yeah. So that was a really nice album. I appreciate him doing that. So we did get to go.
Would you believe we're sitting already on 30 minutes?
Oh, really?
This goes so fast when we're doing it. Anything particular you'd like people out there to know that we didn't cover?
I don't, the sound portion of the band, like I said, good sound is no accident. But when you work at it and you feel comfortable with it, the only satisfaction you get other than your feeling is when people tell you how good it sounds.
Yeah. I've heard a lot. In fact, since you went personally, I've heard a lot of people brag on what you do for Band of Oz. These are people that have followed them for years and years and years.
Right.
And
got a great fan base.
they do, absolutely do. Listen, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time,
Absolutely,
and our dedicated young lady over here to have you in with us. Thank you. Okay, folks, you can go on YouTube and put in Surfside Stories, find our page, hit subscribe. We got 29 of them or 30 of them on there right now. You can also go to Roku TV, go to Beach Music Live TV state channel. We'll be on there. If you want to listen while you're driving, go to surfsidestories.com. The links there will take you to Spotify so you can drive and listen. And just recently, we're now on Explore NMB. So we've got a lot of places we can watch and adding some more. Things just keep falling into place. It's having great people like you. We want to hear the stories, and God, it makes us feel so good to know like I said, we know you now. Now we know who you were.
That's right. I didn't just pop up.
Yeah, exactly. And you've earned every bit of the respect that you have.
Thank you so
and
much.
It's a lot. You've earned.
Thank you so much.
Folks, thank you again. We'll see you next week.